Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Bonsai's Forever. So today I have a ficus benjamina that if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you've probably seen this one before. It's the one that I had an issue with a boring beetle or a larva in the trunk here. It's doing really well. Started putting on a lot of new growth. I've got a lot of trimming to do. I've got some leaves to pull off, and I've got a lot of weeds to pull out of here. So let's get started. Also, I have to repot it. So that's where we're at with this tree. So I'm gonna get started with the finding all the leaves that I need to pull off, like all the yellow leaves. That looks like that's all. All right, so it looks like that's all for those particular leaves. I want to look next at the bark of this tree, because the bark down here is where I found that bug was in the bark that was coming off the tree, and I've got a space right here where the bark is coming off the tree as well. So I want to dig into that and find out what's going on there. Got my pick tool. I'm just going to kind of pick the bark away right at the edge of this. So typically ficus trees or tropical trees, you don't have deadwood on those trees, but this tree just started naturally doing this, so I'm just going with it. So there's definitely ways of fixing this. If I carved the live vein right here and put cut paste on here, this could probably heal up, which I might actually do that to this space, because that looks pretty damaging for this branch. So I can bring you guys in a little bit here. So this is what I'm talking about. It goes all the way from here all the way around to down here. So this whole space is just deadwood basically in this tree. So if I take my small knife or even a razor blade or whatever, and I go right here and I cut into this live vein, I want to get it as close to the deadwood as possible where I'm carving it. I carve away the outer skin of the live vein right here. You want to get it all the way down past the green part of the cambium here. And I want to make sure I get it in here deep enough that it exposes the live tissue of the bark here, so that it'll start healing over this. And eventually it should heal completely across here, and this will all be alive again. Well, this piece inside won't be alive because that's not alive anyway, but the outside should be alive again. And then the tree will thicken up there as it gets older. And this is something I've seen done on deciduous trees as well. So that's kind of where I got the idea of doing this, and then I've practiced it on other ficus trees to fix smaller wounds on them. So I'm sure this is going to work, but I've never done it on a piece this large before. Then I'm going to leave these roots right here as well. And I want this edge to be, I want it to be a sharp edge. I don't want it to be like scraped at. I want it to be a really clean, sharp cut along the edge of the live vein here. This is something I might have to do several times to get this all healed up. So you have to damage it and then go back in and cut paste it again after the cut paste falls off, because it should fall off on its own after a little while. I don't know an exact time frame. It kind of depends on the tree and how fast it's growing. This is going into fall, so this will probably be another process that I do in the springtime. So then I'm going to take the end of this, I'm going to scrape it to kind of clean it. I want to get the dirt and stuff off of here so that I'm not trapping dirt inside my tree. Alright, so I'm going to use my cut paste here. So I'm going to clean the old cut paste off with my knife, and that just gives it a better flat edge as well. So injuring a tree and putting cut paste and filler and all that kind of stuff on it, having your tools clean is pretty important. I mean, it's like if you get injured, you don't want to use dirty tools to fix yourself. So using clean tools on your trees is a really important thing as well, because you want to keep everything clean to keep disease out. So then I'm just going to fill this in. I'm going to go all the way to the edge of the live tissue, and I'm going to fill in all of where the deadwood is at. Alright, so there's that. I got it all pasted up right here. It looks really good. Nice and set up. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off some of the branches that I don't need. All these branches that are like crisscrossing and stuff in here that I don't need inside. I am going to take these out so that they don't grow like clear across the tree, because I've got a branch right here. It's coming out of this branch way over here. I don't need that stuff growing clear across the tree. I don't want to take everything out of the inside, because trees do grow branches on the inside. I mean, obviously they do. So I don't want to take everything out, but I want to take everything out that isn't benefiting the shape or the health of the tree. So like branches like this that are right off the bottom of a main branch, because this is a secondary branch, and then I've got another tiny little secondary branch coming off the bottom of that. I don't necessarily need a branch going straight out right here. I kind of like that shape of branch, so I'm taking these off as well. Just anything that's growing too many branches in one place. Like I've got a branch here, here, and one right here, and another one here. So that's 4 branches right in this section here. This branch I was talking about wiring out, so I'm going to wire this one out. This branch is growing. It's growing straight out and then straight up this way, but I've got another branch right here that's kind of going out this way, so I'm going to take this bigger one off. Just like that. Cut this one back. These trees do really well with directional pruning. Or just straight chopping them back, because these trees will grow back really quickly. I've had really good luck with these, just trimming them back really hard, and they're getting a lot of new growth on them. This is coming up on fall, and these trees are going to start going into dormancy, so I don't want to really hack at it and like chop it way back or do any defoliating. Like defoliating would be in the spring when it's really starting to grow. After the spring leaves have hardened off, that's when I would defoliate, if I was going to. I'm not a big fan of defoliating my ficus anymore. I've killed a couple of ficus by doing that, and that's not cool, because I love these trees. Alright, so I think that's good on the branch pruning. I'm going to tip this one as well. All right, now I'm back down to these ones. Do I keep this? Do I keep this? I think this is actually thickening up the trunk right here. And I want it thicker down here than up here. So if I leave this, it's going to really thicken this part up, and I don't want that. So I'm going to take this branch off. I'm going to take it off without taking off these aerial roots, because I'm going to let these aerial roots grow down, because I kind of want to thicken up the trunk with aerial roots as well, kind of like these ones. And I'm going to take these guys off all the way. I might have just done that earlier when I was working on this branch, so maybe you could have seen it a little bit better, but I didn't. So this is what it looks like when you take off a branch completely. That's what it looks like. I've got a tiny little branch starting right here. It's kind of cool. I might leave that one to thicken up this space in between. Alright, so I like that. I like the shape of it now. The only thing I do really want to do is wire this out. That's the only other thing that I really want to do with this, but like I said, I'm not going to do that right now. It's just, that's for later. Alright, so now I'm going to repot, because this tree is having drainage issues, and like you saw on the leaves, they will turn yellow, but not that much typically. So I'm going to save all the moss, just pull it off and set it aside. I'll put that back on when I repot it. I'll probably spread it out a little bit more. This tree's done really well with growing moss on it. Grab a tray. I don't need a giant tray for this tree. I think this will work. So I'm going to grab it by the trunk here, because it should be able to lift it up. Alright, let's check the bottom, see if I have screens or wires. I have a giant root coming through the bottom, so I don't have any wires on this. So I'm going to use one of my chopsticks to go around the edge, break up this edge, because there's a lip. Just break this up a little bit. I'm also trying to get inside the soil a little bit under the roots to break it up, but this root's clear over here. It makes it from here to here, and then it goes clear over into this section over here. I think the type of soil I was using at this time is also having an effect on this, because I was using it's like kitty litter, but it's for car oil. And it's called diatomaceous earth is what they call it, and I've heard good things about using it. I've also had not bad experiences with it, but then also with this, it gets sticky. Like it's a partially fired clay, so the fact that it's not all the way fired makes it turn into, well, like mud. So this particular type of clay gets kind of sticky, so it kind of holds it in the pot. Plus this root is like underneath the edge of the pot right here, so I'm trying to get around that. Then this one as well. it's about to free up. Yeah, so these roots are like, they're stuck down in the bottom here still. And I'm not worried about damaging these roots because, like I've said many times, these trees have really resilient roots. So I'm going to cut this now. I can get to it. All right, cut that off. Oh yeah, there we go. See, that was the root popping out the bottom. Pretty cool. So this pot I actually got on sale because right here it's got a crack, just a tiny little crack right across the top. Hasn't even come apart. That actually went out one of the wire holes. It's got a little bit of deformities on the bottom too, but I think it's a really cool pot. I really like it. So I'm gonna go wash this off after I clean the root, or I'm gonna wash that off before I clean the roots out because I don't want this all to dry out. So I'll be right back. Okay. So I decided that while I was cleaning out the pot that I would just clean out the roots with the hose. As you can see, this root ball is ridiculous. This is where it was touching the side of the pot and where it was damaged because of the pick or the chopstick right here as well, pulling it out of the pot, and this was right up against the side of the pot. So as you can see, this root ball was pretty much taking up the entire space of this pot, and so yeah, it's taken up the entire space of this pot. So now my decision is, do I want to keep this tree in this pot? Do I want to increase the size of this pot for this tree to increase the size of the tree? So if I'm going to keep it in this pot, I'm going to have to reduce these roots by a lot. These really massive roots here, I'm going to have to cut those back quite a bit, taking off some of the lower stuff here. I mean, it's got a root right here actually the size of a potato. This root right here is about this wide, about that long. So it's got some monster roots on here. I've got some stuff crossing, which I really don't want that. So there's going to be some stuff I'm going to have to sort out with these roots, whether I put it back in this pot or not. So I'm going to go through and sort out the roots, get rid of the stuff that I really don't think I should have here, because this root crossing over the top of this one, either I keep this one and get rid of this one, or I get rid of this one and keep this one. I think I might get rid of this one because there's nothing on it. I mean, it's got a couple of pieces, but it really didn't look like it had a whole lot on it anyway because of where it was at. So I'm going to go ahead and come in here a little bit closer with y'all. So I think this is part of this. If I can dig in here without breaking stuff off. If you haven't watched any of my other videos on the ficus trees, these trees, their roots are actually about the consistency of a potato. Like, I mean, it's so close that I've heard other bonsai artists say that as well. You can see inside it's even white, and it's a lot like a potato. So if I bend them too far, they're gonna break. So I don't want to necessarily break stuff that I want to keep, but I'm really concerned about these two and how I can remove those. So on a ficus tree, the ficus benjamina is for sure. I don't know a ton about the other ficus species. I am getting into the other species, but I just don't have a whole lot of experience with them yet. With these ones, I can take off a bunch of these roots and still this tree is going to survive even going into the fall. So I think what I'm going to do, and I really want to just get rid of a lot of these really big roots. Keep as many of the feeder roots as I possibly can as I'm getting rid of these, because obviously they have some feeder roots on them, but I mean that's a lot of nothing there, a couple of feeder roots. So this is kind of the same way. It's a really long root, doesn't have a whole lot going on. So if I cut this, see right here is the end of that root as well, and it's got more feeder root up here, but this root's also going back in on itself because it went to the edge of the pot. So I can cut that off and it'll grow more roots right out the end here. Same with right here. If I cut this off, it'll grow feeder roots out the end of that instead of this long big long gnarly root. So my goal here, I'm actually going to grab a tray real quick. So grab a tray so that I can save some of this. So my goal is going to be to get more feeder roots on here. So I'm going to chop back the longer fat roots on here so I can get more feeder roots that come out of here. And I don't want to get rid of all this root structure, but let's try to get rid of some of these lower, really big lower roots like these. Alright, that's looking a little better on this side. Got some more space. It looks like actual roots instead of giant potatoes in the ground. I really want to go see some of these trees in their natural habitat and see what their roots actually look like. See if they do this in nature, or if this is something that they just do in a pot. So I'm going to take the big one off here, but I'm going to try not to cut that one off. And this knife is sharp. Roots are just really dense. So that's the top part of the root, and then there's another bottom part of the root that I'm gonna keep going on this one. Alright, so that opens this one up quite a bit. Really like that. There's some stuff on the bottom here, feeder root type roots. I'm going to cut the end of this root. Just cut the end of that. And I want to get this one. I want to get the whole chunk. I think it's this whole piece right here. So I'm going to go from this side, cut into it this way, and then cut into it that way. And then I'll carve it back once I get through it. Not cutting through rocks is a really good idea. So I'm going to try and get some of these rocks out of here. Sometimes doing a repot's a strenuous process, especially if we're trying to get really nice looking roots. So it's got a root that's coming off this way, but there isn't a whole lot on this. So I'm going to just go for it and take off the whole knob here. There we go. So that's all the feeder roots that are on that giant potato there. It's not a lot if you think about it. That huge piece right there, it's only got that much roots on it. Now I have more space in here for more to develop. This will develop roots out the end here. I'm going to carve this back some more. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that this time of year, going into fall, when your trees start slowing down their growth, probably be the best time to do this type of work to this. This time of year or spring be another good time to do really hard root pruning. I've never had an issue doing this during this time of year. Pretty sure I did this kind of work in Colorado as well. So, I mean, this is a tropical tree. So, if you live in a cold area, you're going to have this tree inside during the winter anyway. So, doing this kind of work isn't going to be a big deal. Alright, so I want to get rid of this giant root here too. I don't know if I can break it off. I don't know if I want to break it off because it goes clear up into here. So I'm going to go around this side of it. Around this side of it. Cut it along this root, but not cutting that root. Alright, there's that giant root. Man, it's really interesting to me seeing that. So one thing that you do have to remember, these trees store water in these roots. So for the rest of this year, I might need to water this a little bit more, but I might not because this tree has just been saturated. Even when I don't water it a whole lot, it's just always stays saturated. So this might actually help the rest of the tree grow because I don't have all of this energy down here, or all these roots taking up the energy of the tree. And these roots, like I've said a million times, and I always say this, but these roots do develop really quickly, so I'm not too worried about this major of work. And maybe I'm just telling myself that because I'm taking off so much. Maybe you're not worried at all, and I am, but I'm not worried. This is looking a lot better. It's looking more like a tree instead of a giant potato clump. Yeah, because this looks like tree roots. The only piece that looks a little funky still is this. I kind of like that. I'm going to carve the end of this off though. Make it a little bit more round. I'm right-handed and all this stuff is a left-handed direction. Got that carved back a little bit there. And as you can see, after I've carved all this, it starts turning this light brown color. So it's already starting to callus over. Not fully calloused over, but it's drying out enough that I can put this into some soil and it will not damage the rest of the tree. There we go. There we go. That's looking good. It still almost stands up. But now I've got space in the pot. A lot more space for dirt. Yay. I'm gonna go with this. So I'm gonna go with this. That's what I'm gonna leave it as. Plenty of feeder roots, plenty of large roots. I'm going to redirect some of these aerial roots so that they're going in a better direction. All right. All kinds of exciting. And I can't work with dirty surface. Ta-da! Alright, now we're almost there. Just gotta add some soil to the bottom here. It reminds me, I finished my screen for the backdrop. Let me know what you guys think. Did that help? Should I make it less see-through, or is that good? Because I can still do more to it, but it's kind of a quick job, but I think it'll work. It's light and easy to move around. If it falls over, it's not going to break anything behind it. But yet, it's sturdy enough to hold up a tree, so that's cool. All right. Almost there. Maybe I should just dump the bucket. Okay. I'm gonna wiggle it down in there. Want it up just a little bit higher. I'm looking at the root base. I don't care what the top of the tree looks like at this point. I just want the roots to look right in the pot. So I'm going to move these to where they kind of do this number. Spread these out just a little bit, but yet to where they're not going into other roots. I think I'm going to take this one off because I don't want it crossing that. They thicken up way too quick for that. So we can go down into here, kind of like this. This is kind of the fun part about a ficus tree. It's got so many root characteristics with it that just add so much interest to the tree. All right, so I got it all repotted, got it all the soil worked in there. There's still a couple of weeds that I couldn't or didn't get while I was cleaning out the soil, so I'm gonna make sure and pull those out. Don't want to start off with an issue. Alright, so I've got a couple of roots that kind of hang out of the soil. I might try and push them down in the soil just a little bit, like that. But that should be good. So I'm going to leave these kind of scraggly roots out here, kind of just hanging out. This one might push this one down in the soil right here. Just having it at the soil, where it's just hanging out there, it'll grow into the soil. Alright, so now I'm going to put on some of the moss. Put this back on. I'm going to put it on the sections that I don't want to see the roots, or don't have roots to see. Put a little bit over here. Kind of want to make it look like it's in the forest, you know, not in a bonsai pot. That's kind of the point of what we do when we're growing bonsai trees. We're trying to make them look like a natural tree, right? So put some of this out here on the end of this root, a little bit in here, and this will spread as well, so it's not just going to stay in this one small spot. All right, so that's that. I'm gonna move you guys back out. Give you guys a spin around. Move the light out of the way. Here we go. Now we can see the tree. So there we go. It's a little bit taller than the camera. Here we go. So that's that. I got a little bit of dirt on the leaves. I'll rinse that off when I water it. I might use a toothbrush on this when I water it also. I think I might just do that now. Get everything done all at once so I can put it back out on the bench and be done with this for the day. I love these benjaminas when they start getting some age to them. The bark turns like a really light color like this. That was one of the things that drew me to the ficus, other than the fact that I got my first one from my great-grandmother. I don't still have any of those actual original cuttings, but this is a cutting from one of the ones that I got from my great-grandmother. So this is a pretty special tree, and I'm glad that I was able to work this situation out. So this tree is going to drain so much better because it's been repotted. It was actually having a hard time draining and getting watered, so I soaked it so much more than it needed to because it wasn't taking on any water. Alright, so the water's already coming through the bottom of this. I want to get it really wet. So this sprayer that I've got, I have plant food in it, and I'm using a kelp-based plant food that actually builds roots. So it's will recover even faster because of using that. Alright, so the last thing I'm going to do, I am going to wound heal these cuts with some cut paste, and then we'll be done with this tree. I'm going to round off the edges of this. And these cuts, I'm not worried about them looking concave and like completely getting rid of these. I want to be able to see them because it gives the tree some more character. But I want them to heal over properly. And yeah, I want them to heal over properly. So that's going to be it for the work on this tree today. Really appreciate y'all joining me in my adventures. Yep, I love this tree. It's looking really good. Starting to get some really solid branch structure up in the top here. I love the trunk. It's just so, that's wild. It's really cool. I really like it. So thanks for watching. I appreciate y'all. And thanks for the new subscribers and the comments. And see you on the next one.